What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about life in Norway versus life in the United States. Most Americans, like me, have never been to Norway, and we have no idea what life is actually like in Norway. So I love hearing about Norway through the eyes of other Americans who have gotten to visit Norway for themselves. And so today I'm very excited to hear about this man's experience. And I also am really interested in this because this is someone who is an American who is a bit older in age. And a lot of the other things I've heard about Norway from Americans are from younger Americans, younger people. And this is the first time it's an older person. So I'm very interested to see if that will have any effect on his opinions or his viewpoint, because he's obviously lived his whole life in America. And so when he went to Norway, I'm sure things really stuck out that were different. And that's what I'm excited to hear about. His opinion, his observations on what in Norway was most interesting to him, what things about life in Norway, social life, lifestyle, the food, the safety, all that stuff, what stuck out as most different to America, and what things were just really, really interesting to him. So I'm excited for this one, for sure. So let's take a look.
There are several differences between life in Norway and here in the United States.
Okay.
First of all, they get to deal with different types of winter than we do here along the Intermountain West.
the first thing he talks about is the cold, the winter. The winter must be like a total beast, just like I can't even imagine in Norway. It must be so much more intense. Because that's the first thing he thinks about with Norway is the cold winter.
Winter in Norway is long and cold.
Okay.
And it's dark. Because of the midnight sun in the summer, you get the all-day dark in the wintertime.
Wow. That certainly is one of the biggest things. I think because that is so apparent, like that affects every day. It's very visible and obvious when it's dark out. So I bet that's probably why he thinks of it, why he remembers it. He remembers it so well, like before anything else. Because when you live your life in the United States and it's always, the same amount of light and the same amount of nighttime, the same amount of dark, Norway is really the first country I've ever learned about that has so much darkness. And I know in other places you can also have, in Norway, depending on how north or south you are, you can have daytime all day and night. You can have nighttime all day and night. That is something that would be pretty crazy to experience.
And so the humidity is very high.
Okay.
And when the temperatures get cold, it gets freezing cold. And the snow depths are amazing.
Wait a minute. I have never thought about that before. So because the nighttime is longer, the humidity is different. So when it gets colder in Norway, because of these different temperature variables, it gets even colder in Norway. Wow.
Cold, it gets freezing cold. And the snow depths are amazing. I've never seen so much snow in all my life as I saw in Norway.
Wow.
And have many fond memories of walking down the streets with snow piled up 6-7 feet high along the edges of the roads.
6 feet high? That's not an exaggeration? 6 or 7 feet of snow? I didn't even know that was possible. Like, maybe in Antarctica or like the North Pole. 6 or 7 feet of snow in Norway? Where? Is that common? I knew it was cold in Norway. I knew there was more snow, but like taller than a human? That is unbelievable. Okay, now I understand why he's talking about this. Okay.
piled up 6, 7 feet high along the edges of the roads.
What?
The other thing that's different about food in Norway is that where we eat an awful lot of beef here in the United States,
Yeah.
beef was less common in Norway and it was predominantly fish. We ate a tremendous amount of fish.
Really? Beef, not so common in Norway. I thought Norwegians liked hot dogs. I learned that recently. That is beef, right? I know fish is popular in Norway. I know Norwegians like salmon. It's famous for salmon. I know there is fish. I didn't realize that fish was more popular than beef, though. Or like popular... Is it more popular than chicken? Like, is it the most popular meat? Fish? Wow, this is why I really love hearing about perspectives like this and from other Americans, because I think Americans talk about things that Americans find really shocking. Like, Norwegians might not mention the fish or the snow because it's normal, but this guy knows because he's American. He's like, Norwegians have so much fish. And yeah, that is really surprising to me.
Being so close to the ocean, it was always fresh and delicious.
Yeah.
But beef was in short supply because
Okay.
generally what we would eat that was meat was oxen. Also, the other thing that is really quite different about their food, we have bread that is baked in a bakery and then sliced in a machine and comes in a bag.
Yeah.
And it's very light and airy.
Yeah.
Norwegian bread is the best in the world.
Norwegian bread. Oh my gosh, I love this guy. He is he is like talking about the most weird random stuff and I love it. Norwegian bread is different than American bread. Like it's more dense.
It's thick.
Thick.
It has a thick crust.
Oh.
It's heavy.
Oh.
It's wonderful. You pick it up fresh every day from the bakery. It comes as a full loaf, and you take it home and slice it and put whatever spread and topping you want to put on.
Yeah, I know Norwegians love spreads. So that makes sense I guess that makes sense. Norwegians have really, really great thick bread. Because I know Norwegians love all the spreads. There's fish spreads and different types of paste that Norwegians like. Americans, that is not an American thing at all. There's no paste here. But the bread, he called bread in Norway the best in the world. Yeah, I think bread in America is really made for Americans. Like, it's already sliced. It's really, really flimsy and thin and very sweet white bread. And in Norway, it just seems like more fresh, more thick, more authentic, even.
It's the best bread in the whole world.
Oh.
What's also different about life in Norway versus here in the U.S.,
Huh.
at least for me, was public transportation is such a vital part of how they get around.
I literally just learned about this. The public transportation in Norway, completely different than the United States. Public transportation is not important here. It's not, I mean, it's terrible here. It doesn't exist. Hardly at all. There's some buses, I guess. But America is built thinking that you're going to have a car. You need a car, basically. So this is a huge difference. So I'm glad he's talking about this.
Having a car is good, but it's not necessary
Wow.
to get any place you want to go.
Wow.
The buses run regularly. And when I say regularly, at many of the stops, a bus comes every 10 minutes.
Wow. Wow. That is so different. Like, you actually do not need a car. Wow. And the buses are, oh my gosh, there's buses just running all the time?
Trains are regular. And they take you exactly where you want to go. And as soon as you get off the train, you can pick up a bus. You can get a taxi, and depending on which city you're in, you can even go and catch a subway to get where you need to go. We found it very easy to get around. Did not have a car for 2 years while I was there.
Wow. I'm glad he said that. I wanted to know, how long has he lived in Norway? He lived in Norway for 2 years. So he really got to experience like actually living in Norway. It wasn't like a 1 month vacation. 2 years. Wow. So I think that's really important to public transportation being successful is that it's very easy and convenient and simple and very available. And it's not any of those things in the United States, so no one uses it.
Never had a problem getting anywhere I needed to go because the transportation system was so well run
Wow.
and so abundant for our use.
Wow.
The other thing that's different about life in Norway is that where we can go find a large grocery store and get everything that we need at a single stop, in Norway, though they do have some larger grocery stores, for the most part, you go to the corner market and you
Okay.
pick up your items at a specialty store.
Okay.
You may get meat at one location, bread in another location.
Oh. Oh, wow. I think a lot of Americans would really struggle with this. Americans are very, very, very used to going to a Walmart or a gigantic grocery store. They're everywhere, and they're like almost like warehouses, basically. And Americans are very, very used to getting a lot of cheap, kind of low quality products all in one place. Everything you need, Americans will. Oh my gosh, if you've ever seen an American grocery cart, like how much Americans shop and how full our grocery carts are, it is like it is like 200 or 300 different items for a lot of families. They go to the store, they get everything you need for the week all at once, and if you're at a Walmart, it's like they have like I don't know, microwaves and clothing and games and everything, and a lot of people spend $500 at a grocery store and get everything. So I think this would be difficult for a lot of Americans to get used to. I wonder why this is, actually. Why Norwegians don't have bigger grocery stores where you can get everything? Why is that such an American thing? It seems convenient to me, honestly.
Then go and get your milk and your yogurt at the small little corner markets that are in every neighborhood.
Huh. Is it like the products are higher quality? Like, or the stores are like mom and pop shops, like smaller and higher quality stuff? Or why does everything have to be in different stores? I don't understand this one. Maybe that's the American in me talking.
Makes it really very quaint and nice to get to know everybody who's in the local market.
Okay.
And they know you, and it's just a short walk from your house to be able to get there.
Well, that's probably a big thing. Like, being able to walk places. That would make this all a bit easier and a bit more normal feeling. Huh. Man, Norway, this is like really showing to me how day-to-day life and transportation and stores, everything is a bit different, huh?
The differences in housing in Norway, where it's so really important for people here to have their own home. In Norway, there are plenty of families that own their own homes. But there are
Okay.
also a very large part of the population that lives in apartment buildings,
Okay.
or what they call blocks.
Okay.
And you can see them everywhere, especially in the larger cities, where they're 15, 16-story tall apartment complexes. And as you come out of the elevator on each floor, each family has their name on the front
Oh.
entrance to their apartment.
Oh. So he's saying, okay, this is a bit different. I don't know, it's different and it's not. In America, the goal of every family is to get your own house, live on your own house. That's the dream, the American dream. Your own house with your own yard, your own stuff. But that's becoming increasingly more and more difficult in America because the price of a house has just gotten ridiculous in the United States. So more and more families are probably starting to live in apartments, but that is not the norm. That's not really that normal, but I don't know, in big cities and in some towns and cities, Americans will live in apartments with their family. But that's basically because they can't afford a house. Everyone really wants a house. But this makes it sound like in Norway, Norwegians, it's pretty common for Norwegians to live in a house or live in a block. And you even have everyone's name, like in the block. Like it's more of a community. That's very different. Everyone's name, like, and elevators and it's not really apartments that I imagine in the United States. This sounds more like a building with lots of different levels. So it sounds a lot bigger. Like honestly, it is a bit different. It's a little bit similar to like families who live in apartments here, but the blocks and the levels, that all sounds different. And it sounds like Norwegians are like perfectly happy to live in these, whereas Americans really all want homes. Everyone's just trying to get a house. That's what we've all been taught to do. So it sounds a bit different, honestly, the whole living situation. But this video is only halfway done, and I don't want to rush this or anything. I'm really, really enjoying his story and his experience in Norway. This is like gold. Like his observations are so fascinating to me. His experience, like, and he's talking about a lot of great things, like grocery stores and where people live and public transportation and the weather. Lots of interesting things about life in Norway. So I don't want to rush this. I'm going to enjoy it slowly. So I'm going to stop for now and continue the rest of this in part 2, which will come out after this video. So if you've enjoyed this video so far, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.